Hello lads, I'm just going to run through this revision video. I've got to go to Chester, so I'm doing this lesson this way, so you know what's going on. Right, okay, so let me just get myself sorted. Right, good to go. All right, so this next one, this funding video. Oh, I plug the mouse in. 1 second. Look at funding and sources. So the first part is when you see stuff on funding, it wants you to have an awareness of how it can affect, funding for private, public, and voluntary sector. Now, obviously, voluntary sector is going to be funded differently. They might try and get fundraising going more so than say some of the other businesses. Private businesses might be more sales and sponsorship deals. So we'll just highlight the ones you need to know and just dead quick. I think you should have, if you see the word source, that's the way they get the funding in. So different ways they can get funding in. Now, obviously, sales is one, and sponsorship deals. So sponsorship deals is a way of pulling in funding, okay, which is fairly obvious. Number two, um, we're going to look at loans. So loans, there could be loans on the club. You've heard Man United were in, they borrow money in order to get money to support it. Another one's grants. Grants are more suited for vol, not more so private. Loans are more private, so you're more likely to see loans in that. You're more likely to see loans in that. Right, okay. Four, membership fees. Now, hopefully you can think of membership fees that get paid, but obviously your ticket seasons, season tickets even would be an example of that. Okay. Other thing could be, selling private boxes. So you could have private boxes in at grounds, and so you could have that like season ticket, as I say, facilities, long-term corporate facilities. So booking them out, like conferences and things like that. You'll see that at Liverpool and Everton a lot. You could have donations. So rich people or just people generally might donate to the charities, or they might donate because Liverpool have got you've got Liverpool Football Club, the private version. You've got Liverpool in the community. So you get the community version. You've got the private version. You might donate to some, and you get a mark for that as well, seeing donations. Okay, another one could be events and fundraising. Now, don't put events and fundraising. That you get one mark for those. You won't get one each. So events and fundraising is classed as one mark. You're more likely to get one each. So there's 7 key ones that I've touched on there. Hopefully that helps you with that. And the access word will be sources of funding. All right. So think about that when you see it in the exam. All right. That's how money's raised for the club, and some are more suitable for voluntary, some are more suitable for private. Okay, so the next access was Hugh Grant, and I use the word Hugh Grant, the actor Hugh Grant. So you can look at Hugh Grant's funding. Okay, now all the spec wants to know that you understand the influence of government. So you've got an idea of government and their role and the DCMS. Right, now you've done a lot with Leon, but the role these departments play in that. So make sure you understand that. We've covered it. Okay, we talked about quangos. So a quango, like Sport England or UK Sport, they get money from government, central government, but they're separate. So you've got DCMS. That's a government department, digital culture, media, and sport. Quangos sit separate, and a lot of people say it's so, and then they go into NGBs. Okay, NGBs, and a lot of people say that's because they want to avoid there's less risk in doing that. They specialise in that, so it makes it easier and cleaner. Also, some people argue if it goes wrong, it's not the government's fault as well. So they get public funding, quangos, but they're not a government department. That's the key message there I'm trying to get across. Okay, so going back to this then. So we've got 2 quangos I've just mentioned there. We've got another role of NGBs in terms of role of NGBs. Now, obviously, we sort of commercialisation, they lose power, but NGBs and what their role is in terms of selection of talent. So that UK sport money, what they do in terms of the talent side of the pyramid, but also participation as well. I have an idea of that. The initiatives they do in terms of extra coaching and stuff like that for mass participation and getting people active in leisure centres. but also, you know, the elite athletes selecting the top boxers and giving them money to fund their training and education. Okay, so moving on quickly. So funding for inclusion, community and disadvantage. There's money given there. You know, so lottery money can often be used for inclusion. So often there's lottery money given, and some of the money that comes from these areas go into, if it's not lottery money, go into inclusion. Why would we have inclusion, and why would we have money going into disadvantaged areas? Obviously, it's seen as a preventative way of reducing obesity and stopping crime. So they're good tools for that, crime prevention, and to stop obesity, and engage disadvantaged communities. So that's a bit on who grants it. There's some key information. That's probably a little bit trickier. I think you might struggle with that a bit more than, say, the next one, which is 5.3, this one, and it's who requests it. So who requests funding? And it's quite simple, this. So you see the way so who requests it simply wants to know that it's sports clubs. Sports clubs request funding. They need funding to operate, you know, official fees, all the rest of it. Community orgs, so we use the Phillies, so community orgs is another one, might be non-profit. Local colleges and schools, local schools / colleges, they will need money to operate, and athletes. Okay, now you need to know, I think it's good to link that, so the athlete, with that, so you know that athletes request it that way. Local schools and colleges will get it from central government, but they can also bid for other funding pots as well. So you've just got to be aware of that. But these are the ones: so sports clubs, community orgs, schools, and athletes. There's 4. So there's 4 answers to who can request it, that you need to be aware of. Okay, spot on. Flying through this now. So the next bit then is what it's used for. I think this is one of the, probably along with sources of funding, easiest to remember. Obviously, what's money used for? So it's used for new facilities or improving facilities. If you think of that, we've just improved our facilities. It's obviously used for kit and equipment. So we go through, you know, at least £500 to £1,000 worth of footballs. You get better equipment and all the rest of it. Groundwork, so groundkeeping could be used for that, and maintenance and groundkeeping of the pitches. Coaching and training. So there's 4 straight away, which are quite easy for you to remember. You should find that fairly straightforward. Also running events, you know, the Sainsbury's games and things like that. So running events. The events you work for on the MSP, Merseyside School Sports Partnership, with the Sainsbury's games, that's funded through the DCMS. They trickle money through to them, and then they do mass participation events and engage with schools. Okay, so that's in essence what's going on there, and that's what some of the sources of funding are used for initiatives like This Girl Can as well. So This Girl Can, and you know, you're just seeing more money going into Parkrun, a couple more million. So initiatives, that would be the answer. Initiatives with an example: running events, coaching, training improvements, groundskeeping kit, equipment, and new facilities. Okay, I hope that helps. I haven't covered obtaining funding. They're the first 4. So I'm just gonna go back over to, let's create some space there. Let's knock that out of who requests it, and then just quickly touch on this part, which is right. So the next part would be obtaining. That's how to get it. So obtaining funds. Okay. Put simply, normally when you ask for, I showed you an example, but normally through application. You normally do an application to get money, and I do that quite a lot, or a bid. So you'll do an application or a bid in order to get the money. Okay. In order to get it though, so when you put the application and bid in, we talked about Everton having different elements. It's not relevant, but they have Everton in the community. Don't they? Everton in the, sorry, that's a CIC. There's a reason. Everton in the community. They have Everton Free School, and they have Everton Football Club. Right now, the reason for that is because these different business organisations allow them to access different, obtain different funding pots. So Everton in the community can apply for, because it's voluntary, can apply for different funding pots that the club can't. Okay, and they all have to be self-sustaining. Everton might prop it up a bit, but often it doesn't. So they do a bid or an application. They've got to meet certain criteria. So in order to get it, they've got to meet fund and body criteria. So if you see the word fund and body criteria, what it means is like the lottery will have set criteria, and it's in the PowerPoint of what you need to what you need to do or be in order to for you to get the money. Okay, so what would be the set criteria? They need to prove a few things. They need to prove that there's a need or demand. So like in the area, say knife crime, there's a big need for work on that. So they can prove it based upon stabbing rates and things like that. So they're more likely to get the money. All right, they need to have a clear goal. So there needs to be a clear goal. Right, we're trying to reduce knife crime or deaths through knife crime, and they need to be able to monitor their impact. Okay, that's another way you get it. Okay, and you need to be able to prove that you can deliver the outcome. So like deliver the outcome. So like you need to have like a bit of a track record that you can do it. You're not just going to fail with it. And also the last point would be that ultimately you've got to be eligible. Now excuse me. So in terms of eligibility, in order to be eligible, you've got to be it's got to be a recognised sport, or it's got to be a recognised activity that you're trying to do, and you've got to meet all these requirements. It's got to be eligible of meeting the people who are giving the money. So say the lottery, for example, or one example of who funds it, they have set requirements in terms of eligibility. So you've got to have like 3 directors in the business that aren't related, for example, is an eligibility element. So they're the 4 key things. Hopefully that helps you. I want you to watch it today, and then I want you to summarise it like you did with the other videos, so that you've covered this again. All right. Thanks so much. Bye.